welcome to The Paperfold. I am your host, Sarah, the paper nerd, and I'm so glad to be back nerding out with you on my favorite topic, stationery. Before I get to my guest today, I want to give a warm welcome and enormous thank you to a new supporter of this podcast. Hailing from Detroit, Avanti Press has been celebrating moments big and small since the 1980s, and now offers not just its classic Avanti cards, but also the more fashion-forward A Press range, as well as America, a range highlighting classic imagery from our collective history, further bringing it to life through QR codes and some of my favorite cardbacks in the biz. Each leaves me not just entertained, but possibly a bit smarter. And Avanti recently began distributing Nikki D, renowned for its upscale, embellished offerings that approach fine art. I can't thank Avanti enough, not just for their support of this podcast, but for all they do to raise a big tent for our amazing card and stationery community. True to form, they don't want me to talk them up much. Rather, Avanti has asked me to invite all my listeners to please consider joining the Greeting Card Association and attending events like Noted and the upcoming GCA workshop and retreat. That's coming up this October in Denver, Colorado, and let me tell you, the FOMO is real. Your membership to these and other great events starts at greetingcard.org. My guest today is Todd Kletter, the new CEO of Crane & Company, and this past February, he essentially saved that American house of stationery from going out of business. This is not my first Paperfold episode about Crane, which I am admittedly fascinated by, since this 224-year-old brand came to life alongside America and printed many of its most important documents and currency along the way. Its founder, Stephen Crane, participated in the Boston Tea Party, and Paul Revere used Crane paper for his engraved banknotes, and those banknotes helped finance the American Revolution. My earlier episode dealt with Crane's previous owner, Mohawk Fine Papers, having to actually move the entire Crane operation from its previous North Adams, Massachusetts facility, which was literally opened in 1799, to Cohoes, New York during lockdown in 2020. Todd entered the Crane picture in a big way, just as Mohawk Fine Papers was being acquired by the International Fedrigoni Group. While based in Italy, Fedrigoni is owned by Bain Capital, a Boston-based private investment firm, and BC Partners, a British international investment firm. Once the acquisition of Mohawk Fine Papers went through this past February, Fedrigoni abruptly shuttered Crane and laid off 76 employees. Retailers who had open orders were completely in the dark as to what to tell their customers. I was following the story at Stationery Trends, and fortunately by March 15th, the acquisition of Crane was complete, and Todd told me personally in a phone interview, quote, "Anyone who wants to come back has a job," end quote. So you know I've got a million questions for Todd, and I'll have him here right after this. Hey nerds, by now most of you are doubtless familiar with that fantastic and fantastical LA-based brand Girl with Knife, as well as its creative powerhouse founder, Alicia Castaldi. This brand's rise and evolution has been as dramatic and sharp as, well, the edge of a knife. That's because Girl with Knife is more than your new BFF in paper goods and home decor. It's a mood and a lifestyle, as illustrated by the awards it's stacked up in its brief existence like so many pairs of Jimmy Choos. Alicia won the highly competitive and coveted Artist of the Year Louis Award in 2022, and also took Best Use of Profanity honors in the Noted and Noted Awards not once, but twice. Since then, she has been busy living up to those monikers both within the stationery and gift communities and beyond. Because Alicia's perspective extends beyond product and into our entire surroundings, she has chosen to redesign a series of houses dotted across Southern California, from Bel Air to Palm Springs, with an eye toward creating living design spaces for her brand. She calls these Knife Houses, and they are receiving major airtime from HGTV and the like. Knife House Bel Air is finally complete, and you can go behind the scenes with Alicia 24/7 as she takes the space from ho-hum to jaw-dropping on Instagram. Just follow Knife House Design, all one word, and let the before and afters begin. Meanwhile, Girl with Knife is the first paper brand I can think of to receive major international press coverage in Hola Magazine Spain, as well as Hello Magazine UK and Hola Magazine Mexico. Behind all the glamour, however, there is authentic emotion and edge behind each product Alicia creates, be it greeting card, candle, art print, or desk must-have. Alicia has been a guest on this podcast and shared how autobiographical notes run through every last piece. There is so much more than meets the eye. While it is hard for me to pick a favorite, I am so drawn to Alicia's Your Simply Exquisite design, showcasing a delicate heron against yellow and white flowers on a sea of pink. It's a wrap, it's a candle, and it's a greeting card, so you can truly immerse yourself in every last design. So, if you're a paper nerd out in the wild looking to express your best self as you uplift those you adore, head on over to girlwithknife.com and immerse yourself. Meanwhile, if you are in the trade, shop this brand sensation exclusively on Fair 24/7. I guarantee your stationery, as well as your living and workspaces, will slay. Todd, welcome to the Paper Fold.
Thank you. It's awesome to be here.
Thank you so much. So I'm curious, I wanted to start about how you first kind of got involved consulting for Crane through WS Strategic Holdings and entered its orbit. That was when it was still owned by Mohawk Fine Papers, no?
Correct. Yeah. So in right about this time of year, in 2021, I was asked to come in and help with a backlog issue that Crane was experiencing. Crane was shut down for some time during the early part of the pandemic, and then moved from Massachusetts, the original home of Crane, to New York, where Mohawk has their headquarters. And they were thrown into a significant backlog situation. So I was asked to kind of come in and try to help work through that, understanding some of the issues and then how to spin out of it, basically.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So that was a really great way to get acquainted with the operations there. And, and so you were already, kind of in their orbit and in that system. So I know your February was a wild ride as I was following all the Crane and Company news along with everybody in New York at home. In the end, how were you able to acquire Crane when it had already been purchased by, and I'm probably going to mangle the pronunciation, the Fedrigoni Group?
Yeah, very good. Fedrigoni. Yep. So I actually received a call about a week beforehand. Mohawk was being purchased by Fedrigoni, and I received a call from a principal at Mohawk who had said they're going to buy, they're going to pull the trigger on the acquisition. They don't want Crane. Are you interested? And I said, very much so. Get me some information. Let me know what we're talking about. I haven't seen financials for better part of 6 months at this point in time, and help paint a picture of where they are and what things look like. And I was in the process of getting some information. Fedrigoni really wasn't divulging it much. And a lot of it's because it was new to them as well. So they didn't really have their hands around it. And unfortunately, a couple of days later, Crane was shut down. The folks at Fedrigoni had decided that they were not going to move forward with that business model, as I indicated, and they were just going to go ahead and shut it down. And I got a call at about 11:30 that day, half an hour after they'd been shut down, from some employees that I was still friendly with, and said, "What is going on?" I said, "I don't know. You tell me." And that's kind of where the starting point was.
Wow. And so we're talking about early February. I believe that was the week of Valentine's Day. And you're referring to like 76 Crane employees sort of like abruptly being let go. And it was very, very abrupt. Like people were just locked out of servers and getting letters of termination. It probably was not how, Mohawk had intended, and it was just sort of like one of those things that happens during corporate takeover. Sometimes something gets dropped in the process. So when I first interviewed you on March 15th, you told me anyone who wants to come back has a job. So I just wanted to kind of see how that was going. Have you rehired folks? Like where are you with that?
Yeah, so we've brought back basically all the employees. Wow. We have a number of folks that you can imagine just through normal channels of attrition. We had about 6 employees that did not come back. Some had found jobs and during that time frame and weren't willing to really risk sitting on the sidelines and waiting to see what's going to happen. And then we've had some people that since we brought them back have moved on. Maybe it wasn't a good fit. Happens in the normal course of activity. But I would say 90% of the employees are back, and we've hired some new folks as well to add to the team.
Great. Which is, that's all very, that all sounds very standard to me. It's people move on, people, yeah. And so also in March, I had reported that Crane has a 1-year lease to continue to operate out of its current Cohoes, New York plant, which is actually representing the first time in a decade that Crane has been a standalone company. So can you share a glimpse of Crane's plans sort of post now? What can we expect?
Sure. So we do have to move. We're in the process of working with multiple locations to have dialogue and really looking at what's best for our employees as well. Right. So we have now had the opportunity. We can go anywhere. The anywhere will be within a certain amount of miles from our current location. Of course, we're not looking to move to California or Florida or anything of that nature. We recognize the talent at Crane is the most important part of the company. That's the one consistent we've had since the beginning 224 years ago is our talent. So we are very committed to making sure that our employees are in a favorable spot. We're currently, like I said, working with about 3 different areas to determine what would be best and looking to make a decision within the next 2 or 3 weeks as to where we're going to go.
Oh, that's exciting. That's really exciting. Do you think it's going to be in like the kind of where you are, like the Hudson Valley, the Cohoes?
It'll be, I'll tell you this much. I've drawn about a 40-mile radius and, somewhere within that neighborhood. We took a geographical look at where all our employees reside. And we've plotted that against several locations to understand what the impact would be. So some people are thrilled that it might be going further east. Some people are thrilled it's going further south. It may just stay in a very similar zip code to where it is now. But really looking at doing the best thing for Crane. And what it comes down to is less than location. What's a good fit? What building is available? We're on 2 floors right now. Very difficult for production. We don't have a break room. Want to incorporate that. We don't have a green space. Want to incorporate that. So there's a lot of things that we're checking the boxes on that are very important to us moving forward. And then there's some things that would be luxury items, if you will. And we want to make sure that we get everything in the right spot.
Sure. I mean, you obviously need a space that's big enough to fit all your current facilities in, but it would also be nice to have something that you can kind of grow into. And
of course,
we'll be right back after this. And we're back. Can you share any glimpses of what what we can expect from Crane in the coming months? Any of your plans? Anything up your sleeve that you can share with my listeners?
Absolutely. So and if I could pull the string back a little bit, we took control of the company in early March and brought it back online actually 3 months ago tomorrow. So it's been 90 days. It feels like a lifetime, but it's only been 90 days. My mention, is to my employees and to our customers and to fans of Crane was the first 15 days. We have to see where we are. We've been shut down for some time. We have to understand where we are, what it looks like, and where we're going to be moving forward. The next 15 days or next 30 days really was to just reestablish ourselves, right? Let's get back into business. Let's see where we are. We had to figure out where the 790 orders that were in the system at time of shutdown, where those need to go, and really understand what we have. Let's get people happy. And then the second 45 days, which is what we're in now, has really been about, okay, now we've got this, we've got it wrestled under control. We're 75% occupancy as far as efficiency, et cetera. What can we do? And so now we're in the planning stages, which is super exciting. Some things we are absolutely going to do is reignite our wedding line. Very, very, very important to us. Obviously, this year was a hiccup we didn't expect, but getting back into wedding in a very big way and making it easy for our customers and working through that. So we've had some new hires that have come on board in the customer service and sales arena that are going to help promote that, making ourselves a little more available, which is great. We're working with some of our retailers to understand what the demands would be, and forming a retail council, which is pretty cool. So it would be a cross section of retailers, big and small, from all over the country, and saying, okay, what do you guys want? I can't always say yes, but what do you want? What's really important? What's cool? What are the challenges you're running into with Crane? And then, of course, our online presence as well is a big part of our future. Unfortunately, as you know, retailers are not the same they were 50 years ago. Retailers need to do what they need to do to stay in business. So your stationery only store, they're rare to find, and the economy in the market, it's hard to support that. So there has been a huge influx of online retailers, right, that are out there that sell stationery and custom online. We want to bring that a little farther forward and reach, everybody who wants the opportunity to do that. So that's kind of our biggest first step. Our new holiday line is out. It's spectacular. I'm really excited. A lot of that was done prior to being shut down. But we really pressed on some of the designs that I thought were going to be extraordinary compared to last year as well. And then, of course, one thing that we've also identified is that, Crane is a 223-year-old company, 224-year-old company, depending on who you ask. And we've been the same for a long time. There's a lot of folks that are not in line or not loving the rebrand that Mohawk did probably in 2020, 2019, 2020. And so one thing I'm much believer in is we want to have a heritage line that goes back to some of the original Crane designs, feel, etc. It'll be an elevated line that people have access to. The highest of our, or most, I would say highest of our retailers, but the retail specific, the retailers that support us the most will have access to that. It'll be online as well. I don't know if heritage will be the name, but it seems to be sticking right now. It'll come with the old logo in a blue box and have some principles that are very similar to that. And it'll be just an elevation of what it is. So if you've got a very special occasion, if you're willing to spend more on a wedding, those are things that you can go into the heritage line. And it will be a special paper as well.
Ooh, I mean, I love it. I'm a longtime fan of Crane. I've talked about it a lot. I have so many fond memories of being at Stationery Show when they would have like the massive windows with all the vintage lines. And part of the allure of Crane is the historic component. And, I think it was used for every inaugural ball up until our 45th president. There is such a historic component. Anything that you can bring back will make it exciting. And as in terms of weddings, I mean, it does seem like there's a real return to customization and personalization. You probably saw that article in the Financial Times, I believe it was last month, where they were just talking about like all the bespoke weddings and how they're kind of like hand-lettered wedding invitations are back for these exclusive events. Like some people are really, really going old school and hiring a calligrapher just to do them. And so, I mean, it couldn't be a better time. I think I had heard that term, the 360-degree wedding, where it's like every component has to speak to a bigger theme. I mean, this is a really good time to kind of get back into that game. So I can't wait to see what you have up your sleeve, and I'm really going to enjoy watching it. And so finally, I wanted to close with Nerd Notes. This is sponsored by Paper Baristas. If you've heard her episode, she is just really about putting magic back in the mail. And so we like to talk about a favorite card or letter we've received. I'm kind of breaking my mold. The one that I'm using is actually my daughter's bat mitzvah invitation, which was on Crane. Okay. It was she got bat mitzvah in June of 2019, so it was just sort of before the bottom fell out on everything, and we worked with.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, this is really
cool. Custom
coat of arms with our dog
That's
on
awesome.
it. It's duplexed, and it was
gold
foil, and like I know, and it was edge painted. I don't know. I know that after COVID started, and when Mohawk had kind of reconfigured what Crane was able to offer, like some of the components in it are no longer offered. So it's really special to us. That doesn't mean Crane won't always be able to offer some of these,
sure.
the double thick paper, the edge painting. But I think it'll return to form. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite pieces. And of course, the name of the invitationer in Chicago, who we worked with, is slipping my mind. It's Elizabeth. It's Elizabeth W. Laura Manteful. Her stories in Chicago. I'm sure once you're back, she'll be working with you. But I'm actually about to take this framed because I feel like the envelope. I want to frame the envelope for our family and like maybe use the liner to do a mat on the frame.
Yeah.
So I'm actually taking it in. So how about you? I'm very curious if you have a favorite card or letter that you can share today.
So I have, I have a couple, and so it's really hard to pick. It's really hard to pick some. And so, one is really, it's not a Crane piece, but it was a letter I received. It was a note I received from my wife, and it was one of those non-occasion notes. It wasn't a birthday, a Father's Day, an anniversary, a holiday. It was more just a, hey, I just want to let you know kind of moments. And so I keep that very close to me. It was really important to me. It's awesome. I wish our Crane paper would make it that much more special, but I digress. In all seriousness, it's really incredible. And then there's a Crane note that I have. And this is the first card that we produced when we were back up and running, and I have it on my desk here, so I'm going to show it to you because I think it's really, really cool. But I had said, okay, guys, let's light everything back up, and everybody said, well, let's do your card first. So this is the first card that was produced, engraved. This was produced on March 18th. And it was the first one back. I just so happened that we had our dies, right? We had my name. I've gotten some stationery before, but it was something different. I said, let's do really something cool. Let's put it on the blue paper, the beach glass. And I do have the awesome envelope as well, which was lined, which is super cool. Wow. And it just looks amazing. So I thought that was super special. I don't want to use these, but I'm going to keep a couple just dated because they are so cool, and I keep my office here. Clearly, I can have as many of these made as we want, right? But this was really neat because this was just the first piece back. So it went into kitting, and it went onto the engraving, and then went into quality control, and got the envelopes and the liners, and put in our iconic blue box, which is here, and just really neat. So that's a real special card for me, and something cool to have for forever.
Oh yeah. I mean, you should frame it or mount it in some place. And when you're in your new location, I mean, it's really the new chapter of Crane, right?
One thing I was going to do, and we just haven't, really got the time, but was to have everybody that was in the building that day and part of that sign that card, or sign the frame of that. So that's something we're going to work on. It's a new chapter, right? We're very honored that this is again, not many people can say that they are working in a 224-year-old company. Just the history alone is incredible. And we hope to add add to that very historic company and a new chapter, which is super cool. We didn't expect to be in this position, but we love it, and it's really enjoyable.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's very exciting. I can't wait to see where you go with it. And it is, I mean, you're in sort of a historic precipice right now. Definitely. And like so many things, it just sort of occurred. Like it's not one of those things you planned for. It kind of came to you. And sometimes those are the most exciting adventures.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thank you so much for coming on the Paperfold. It was such a treat to have you here, and let's stay in touch. I can't wait to see what you do next.
Absolutely. Feel free to, reach out to me. I'll give you some updates from time to time. We're emerging. I joke that we're a 223-year-old company, but we are emerging. We're keeping up with new trends and infusing that with older and historic style. And our employees are awesome, and they just come up with so many great things. So you'll love our holiday line. We'll be back in wedding, and you'll be the first to know about our heritage line as well. So we'll continue chatting. It's really a pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you so much, Todd, for dropping in the paperfold. It was great to get better acquainted, and I'm so looking forward to witnessing this next chapter of Crane. Finally, thank you for listening. Of course, feel free to give me a 5-star rating and review if you are so inclined. The Paperfold is proud to be a member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. To learn more about this dynamic community, please visit evergreenpodcasts.com. Thank you so much, nerds, and please stay safe out there.